Your spiritual guide is closer than you think, but there's something stopping you from reaching them. It's not just about meditating more or asking for signs. It's about removing what's blocking the connection. Could one of your daily habits be clouding your spiritual clarity? If you're feeling disconnected, you're not alone. Sometimes, the habits you don't even notice are creating blockages that make it harder for you to find the clarity you're seeking. You might feel like you're doing everything right, but still missing that connection. In this video, you are going to discover exactly which habits are holding you back and how to release them so you can finally connect with your spiritual guide on a deeper level. Your spiritual guide is always near, offering the wisdom and clarity you're seeking, but sometimes it feels like that connection is just out of reach. You might be asking for guidance, praying, or meditating, yet still you find yourself feeling lost, like there's a disconnect between you and the spiritual insight you need. This can be incredibly frustrating. You may wonder, what am I doing wrong? Why am I not receiving the answers? The truth is, it's not that your guide isn't there for you. It's that everyday distractions and habits are creating a cloud, making it harder for you to hear and feel the guidance that's being offered. Think about it. How often do you feel overwhelmed by the noise of daily life? Whether it's the constant buzzing of notifications scrolling through social media, or being surrounded by negative energy from the world around you. Well, this noise creates static that drowns out the subtle voice of your spiritual guide. Even if you're doing all the right things, meditating, asking for signs, trying to stay connected, it's easy to miss the guidance because your mind is too cluttered. This clutter builds up over time, layer by layer, and without realizing it, you start to feel more and more distant from the spiritual support you know is there. Imagine this. You're sitting down to meditate or pray, hoping for answers or clarity, but your mind is racing with thoughts of what happened today, the conversation you had with a friend, or your never-ending to-do list. Or maybe, right after you finish your meditation, you immediately grab your phone to check messages or social media, pulling yourself right back into the noise. These small everyday actions may seem harmless, but they're the very things that are creating the distance between you and the guidance you're seeking. It's like trying to tune into a radio station, but there's so much static that you can't hear the music. You know it's there, but all the interference makes it impossible to catch the signal clearly. The same thing happens with your spiritual connection. When your mind is filled with noise, it becomes difficult to receive the guidance that's right there waiting for you. You've probably heard that the key to connecting with your spiritual guide is to meditate more, ask for signs, or simply try harder. But if you're feeling disconnected, it's not because you're not doing enough. In fact, sometimes doing more can actually make it harder to connect. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that you need to spend hours meditating, waiting for a big sign, or forcing yourself to be more spiritual. But the truth is, your spiritual guide isn't waiting for you to work harder. The connection is always there. It's more about clearing the path than trying to force a connection. Think of it like this. Imagine you're standing in front of a door. You don't need to push harder to open it. The door is already unlocked. But if there are things blocking the way, like clutter or obstacles, you won't be able to step through, no matter how hard you push. It's the same with your spiritual connection. It's not about how hard you're trying. It's about what's in the way. That's why simply meditating more or asking for signs won't always bring the clarity you're looking for. If your mind is clouded with distractions or emotional weight, even the strongest spiritual practices won't get through. You're not lacking effort. You're just carrying too much mental and emotional clutter that needs to be cleared first. Now that you understand it's not about trying harder, but rather about clearing the clutter. Let's talk about the habits that might be blocking your spiritual connection. These are simple things you might not even realize are getting in the way, but they can have a huge impact on your ability to connect with your guide. One of the most common habits is overstimulation from technology. Think about how often you're surrounded by screens, whether it's your phone, computer, or TV. Every time you scroll through social media, jump between apps, or check your notifications, your mind is flooded with information. It's like a constant stream of mental noise that keeps your brain in a state of distraction. When your mind is overstimulated, it's like trying to have a conversation in the middle of a crowded, noisy room. You might catch bits and pieces, but the deeper message gets lost in all the chaos. This overstimulation makes it harder for you to hear the subtle guidance from your spiritual guide. Even if you sit down to meditate or pray, your mind might still be racing with all the things you've just seen or heard. Imagine trying to listen to a quiet, soothing melody, but there's loud music blasting in the background. It's nearly impossible to focus on the gentle tune because the noise is overwhelming. That's what overstimulation from technology does. It drowns out the soft voice of your spiritual guide. Another habit that might be blocking your connection is carrying around unresolved emotional pain. Whether it's stress, anger, sadness, or even fear, these emotions can build up and create a sort of static around you. When you're weighed down by negative emotions, it's like trying to tune into a radio station, but only getting static. When these emotions aren't processed, they linger in your mind and heart, creating a barrier between you and the spiritual clarity you're seeking. It's not that your spiritual guide isn't there. It's that the emotional clutter is clouding your ability to receive the guidance clearly. Think of it like driving through a foggy road. You know the path is there, but the fog makes it difficult to see what's ahead. Until that emotional fog clears, it's hard to navigate your way toward the guidance that's waiting for you. Now that you've identified the habits that might be blocking your connection, let's talk about practical ways to clear the path and bring that connection to life. These small daily practices can make all the difference in how open and aligned you feel with your spiritual guide. One of the most powerful things you can do is create intentional moments of stillness throughout your day. We live in a world where we're constantly connected to technology, and that overstimulation can block your spiritual clarity. Here's a simple practice that you can start using right now. Number 1, morning reset. Before you pick up your phone or start your day, take 5 to 10 minutes to sit in complete silence. No screens, no distractions, just you and your breath. During this time, set an intention for your day. It can be something simple, like today, I open myself to the guidance and wisdom that's available to me. This sets the tone for your day, allowing you to start from a place of clarity rather than distraction. Number 2, midday pause. If you find yourself overwhelmed by the noise of the day, take a 2-minute break to reset. Step away from your phone or computer and take a few deep breaths. In those moments, remind yourself that silence is where your spiritual connection thrives. Let's also talk about emotional clutter, those unresolved feelings of stress, fear, or sadness can create a heavy fog around you, making it harder to connect with your guide. The key to clearing this emotional clutter is to acknowledge and release it daily. Here's a simple but powerful practice to help you clear that emotional weight. At the end of each day, take 5 minutes to reflect on anything that's been weighing on your mind or heart. Write it down. Don't worry about how it sounds. Just get it out on paper. Journaling is a powerful tool to release emotions, and it allows you to clear space in your heart and mind for spiritual guidance. When you put your emotions onto paper, you're freeing yourself from carrying them inside. One of the most profound ways your spiritual guide may be trying to reach you is through numbers. Repeated number sequences like 1111, 4444, or even more complex numbers like 3663 often carry powerful messages. These are not just coincidences. They are signs from your guide, letting you know that they are near and that you are on the right path. Let me share a personal experience with you. Just yesterday, I was working on something important, and I happened to notice the number 4445 appear repeatedly. It caught my attention, and I decided to look it up. When I searched for the meaning of 4445, I found a message from my guide. Great things will manifest in your life, and you need to be ready for them. It was a powerful sign, affirming that I'm on the right path and encouraging me to keep going. This message felt like direct support from my guardian angel, reminding me that everything I'm working toward is being supported by the universe. If you start seeing repeated numbers on a license plate, a phone number, or even a receipt, it's a message from your guide. These numbers are a form of spiritual communication. Here's how you can incorporate the awareness of these numbers into your daily life. Make a numerology journal. Whenever you notice a repeated number, stop and reflect on what you were thinking or feeling at that moment. Take a moment to acknowledge it as a message from your guide. Write it down in a journal and later look up its meaning. You'll be surprised at how often these messages are aligned with what you need to hear. Emotional connection to numbers. Sometimes these numbers appear when you're on the verge of making an important decision or when you're feeling uncertain. Pay attention to the timing. Your guide is showing you that they're present and that you're on the right path. It's like your guide is sending you a text message, but instead of words, they use numbers. If you pay attention to these subtle signs, you'll start to see that your guide has been communicating with you all along, perhaps in ways you didn't realize. As I mentioned earlier, just recently, I received the message 4445. It appeared at a moment when I needed reassurance, and it immediately made me feel like I was moving in the right direction. The meaning was clear. Keep going because the divine realm is cheering you on. These kinds of signs are powerful reminders that you're supported. You can have these same experiences too, but it's important to stay open and aware to recognize them. If this resonates with you, and you're starting to see how these small shifts can make a big difference, don't forget to hit that like button. It helps others find this video and start their own journey towards spiritual clarity. And if you're not already subscribed, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any future videos where we dive deeper into unlocking your spiritual potential. Now, you've learned how small, seemingly simple habits can block your connection to your spiritual guide. But just as easily as those habits create distance, the daily practices we've talked about can help you clear the way. The moment you start clearing these blockages, you'll begin to notice a shift. It might not be immediate or obvious at first, but with time, your connection with your guide will become clearer and more natural. You'll find that instead of searching for answers, the guidance will come to you, often when you least expect it. It's about creating space, both mentally and emotionally, for that connection to grow. You're not alone on this journey. Your guide is always there. And the clearer your mind and heart become, the more you'll notice their presence in your life. Whether it's through moments of stillness, the release of emotional clutter, or the subtle messages in numbers, your spiritual guide is always reaching out to you. All you need to do is clear the path, and the guidance will flow naturally. And don't forget, your guide may already be sending you messages in the form of numbers. Those repeated sequences like 1111, 4444, or 4445 are reminders that you're aligned with the universe. So when you see them, pause and listen. Reflect on what's happening in your life at that moment. These numbers are not coincidences. They are signals that your guide is near, cheering you on and offering support. Think of it like clearing out a garden. At first, it might feel like a lot of work, but with each weed you pull, the soil becomes richer, and soon the garden begins to bloom. In the same way, each small step you take, whether it's a moment of silence, writing down your thoughts, or noticing a number sequence, removes the weeds of distraction and creates fertile ground for spiritual growth. As you move forward, remember that this journey is not about perfection. It's about intention. Your spiritual guide isn't asking for perfection. They're asking for openness. The more you open yourself up to their guidance, the more you'll notice how much support is already there. It's not about trying harder. It's about allowing, clearing space, and trusting that you are guided every step of the way. Before we close this video, I want to leave you with a moment of peace and reflection. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, and let the distractions of the day fade away. This is your time to reset and reconnect with the quiet wisdom that's already inside you. And as you prepare for the meditation, if you want to strengthen the practices you've learned today, I recommend watching my previous video where we explore more habits that can help you attract abundance and clarity. If this video has been helpful, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe so we can continue this journey together. Hope you feel more centered and open to the guidance that's always available to you. If you'd like to continue deepening your connection, I encourage you to watch my previous video where we explore more ways to create space for financial clarity. Don't forget to like this video and hit subscribe to stay connected.